Hello everyone and welcome back. In this one we're going to talk about strings. You may remember from the variable video that a string is just a series of characters or text. So here I got a quick script set up and all it does is creates a string with a quote in it. We then have a transform value which is just equal to the string, and then I print transform value. The reason I'm doing it this way is so that I can just change this and it'll just keep printing. So if you have a look, you'll see it just prints out the quote. Now, as we mentioned in the video on lists, strings are really a collection data type. So we can do things that we could do with other things like lists. So if we do len, we can see that it prints the length of the string, which in this case is 65. We can also look for a particular character at 0. It should be capital T, and it is. And we can also slice. So I can say, give me everything between 0 and character 2. And there we go. We got the word 2, and we can increase this to 7, and we should get to live. And we can jump by every other character, like that. So you can see 2, misses out the O, gets the space, misses out the L, gets the I, misses out the V, gets the E. So just like a list so far. And not only that, but we can loop through it. So if we do for transformed value in a string, and then print the transform value, you'll actually see that it prints each character on a new line, because that's exactly what we told it to do. You can think of a string a bit like a list of characters. Let us put this back to how it was. Now, another thing we can do with strings is use a lot of built-in functions that come with the string. One of these is .upper, and this uppercases the whole string. And just like we got upper, we also have lower. Now you should note that these methods actually return what we've asked it to do, not change the actual string. So if we print the original string alongside, you'll see that the original string still has capitals, so it creates a copy. And you kind of expect it to because strings are immutable. Some other common things we might want to do is something called split. What split does is it transfers your string into a list, and it's split by the space character. If we want to split by something else, such as full stops, we can just put that in here, and there you go. It's split the string everywhere there is a full stop, and we've lost the full stop. Now, another thing we can do with strings is something called replace. So if we change our split to replace, and we're going to replace world with universe. And you can see it's telling us here that the first word is the old one, the second word is the new one. And if we run that, you'll see that world has been replaced with universe. You can also replace the word the with cat, and you'll see that it replaces every occurrence of the in the string. And just like every other example, string.replace does not change the original string because it's immutable. Something that strings give us is the ability to actually put those back together. And the way we do that is a bit weird. But we create an empty string and then do .join and then the list. So that should put our string back together without spaces. And there you can see our string is back together. If we wanted to get the spaces back, we can actually just change that to a space. And it puts it back. So basically this is saying use this string to reform this string from this list. So we can actually do a dash. And there you'll see it's dashed it all. Now, one of the more powerful functions and most used functions of strings is the ability to check what something is. So if we take the first word of our string, which is 2, and then we say is alpha, this will return true. And that tells us that every character in that string is alphabetic. If we increase that to 1 to 3, you might expect that to return true, but it doesn't. And that's because spaces are not classed as alpha. One of the ways to get around this is to do a replace first. So we can do .replace, and I'm going to replace spaces with 0 length strings. So this will remove all the spaces from the string and tell us if it's alpha. And it's true, but that's only looking at 2 and L. If we remove that, does it still work? And that says false, so something else is wrong. And that's because full stops are also not part of the alphabet, so is alpha doesn't work. So we can also just chain on another replace. And for this replace, we're going to do full stop with zero length string. And this time we return true. Now something else that we have in the toolbox is something called partition. So if we use .partition and use the word world in it, well, actually, let's use a full stop. What this will do is when we run it, you'll see that we now have a tuple. And the string has been split into 3 parts. The first part is the bit before the first full stop, the second bit is the full stop, and the last bit is the bit after the full stop. Now this is quite useful if you have something in the middle of the string that you can split something on but nothing else. So we could actually split on world, and you'll see that does a very similar thing, except world is now our middle bit, and then we have bits on both sides. What we can also do is count for the occurrences of a word within a string. So if I do count world, we should get 1 because there's only 1 world in there. If we count the world I think there were 2 in there, we should get 2, and we do. And we can also look for how many spaces are in the string, and there are 12. One thing we can do with strings is escaping. And escaping basically allows you to use special characters in a string. One of these is the apostrophe. So if we wanted to do in the worlds, you'll see that that kind of looks funky, and if we run it, it'll blow up, because we've actually ended the string here. If we wanted to leave that apostrophe in place, we would have to do it like that. The backslash basically tells the system that the next character is what you want to type and not something special. If we run that now, there you go, the apostrophe is there. Another kind of escape character we can use is /n. This will tell the system that we want to create a new line. So there you see, it's pushed it onto the next line. And we can put these in wherever we want, and the system will basically break the text up right there. Note that because the space is after it, that space has gone to the next line as well. If you wanted the end of the lines to line up, you would have to do that to move the space. Another thing we can put in is tabs. So I could put in a /t there, and you'll see that that's actually given as a tab character. And we can put multiple of these tab characters together to push the string further forwards. And we could also put a load of tabs and then move to the next line. Now there's another load of functions that deal with aligning strings. And the way they do that is to pad them with letters. So here's a bit of code I created earlier. We're going to remove that. And what you can see here is I've got a string length. And then I'm copying A string to B string and C string. And then here I'm using left justify or ljust, center, and rjust. And I'm putting a new line character in between each of these words, so they should print differently. What do you think this does? Let's run it and see. Helps if I print. So what we got here is this one's left justified, this one's center justified, and this one is right justified, up to 120 characters. Now this string was 65 characters, so if we set this lower to 70, it should be a lot less pronounced, but it's still done the same thing. And we can just increase this number of characters and it will increase the justification. And this justification really sits here. It's just so I don't have to type it 3 times. This will work perfectly well if I just put 80, but I didn't want to have to change it in each individual place. Because if I change this now to 50, you'll see that nothing really happened because we're left justifying to 80. There's actually a load of space there, which isn't at the end of these. 50 is shorter than the actual word, so it just keeps the word itself. Now, another really popular validation is something called isDigit. And what this will do is identify if each thing in there is a number, and it isn't. However, we could just change this. If I comment out the original string and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and run it, it's now identified it as a number. And that's a really good way to check if your string's a number or not before you cast it. Now there's also isNumeric, which does practically the same thing. Now note that isNumeric does not work with decimals, and it also doesn't work with negatives. If you have these, you could use the replace trick to get rid of them. But I'm just going to take them out here to check. Now I want to go back to our split example and just talk a little bit about something called concatenation. Now, as you know, we can add strings together to put them back together. So in this case, instead of using the join function, we could do orig string equals an empty string, and then forward in transform value, we're going to do orig string equals orig string. Actually, let's do plus equals because it's the same as with numbers. So plus equals space plus. Now let's put our word back together, just as if we'd used justify. But note that when we're doing concatenation like this, we have a bit of a problem. And that is that it's recreating a string each time you concatenate. So that's actually really quite an expensive operation. So if we do that little thing where we import time and then do start equals time dot time, end equals time dot time, print end minus start. And you'll see that that actually took 0 seconds. Now there's something else we can do with this, which is string multiplication. So if we do a string equals a string times 1000, our string is now going to get pretty big. And you'll see it actually took some time this time. Now if we do this again, but use .join, transform value, and then we're going to have to move this up here, you'll see that the concatenation of strings took significantly longer than the join function. And if we put that up to 1,000,000, it'll actually become noticeable eventually. Okay, maybe we pushed it a little bit hard. Okay, that's taking way too long, so I stopped it. Let's put that up to 100,000. Or 10,000, actually. Let's not go too far. And you'll see that this has duplicated up our text. But now, string concatenation has gone to 2 seconds. String concatenation should be avoided wherever you can. So whenever you're joining strings together, don't use concatenation. Create a list of words and then join them. It'll be much, much more efficient. You can see there, it's a fraction of a second compared to 2 seconds for 10,000 iterations of that string. Now, just a note on this multiplication, actually, because we haven't seen it before. If we take all of this out now, put this back to transform value, change this to times 2, you'll see here that the string starts again as soon as we finish because we times it by 2. After it's printed it twice, that's it. So multiplication is a really good way of increasing the size of your strings. One common method that strings use is trimming. So if we take our string and add a load of white space to the beginning and end, when we print it, we'll see that there's a big gap at the beginning and the end. One thing we can do here is .trim, actually it's .strip, and this will strip leading spaces and ending spaces. There is also an L-strip and R-strip variant. L-strip strips off the beginning, you can see the spaces are still there. And R-strip will strip off spaces at the end of the string. So you see there, no spaces. Now, one thing we mentioned in the previous video is that adding numbers to strings, you've got to cast them to a string because you can't merge the two data types. So if I wanted to do transform value equals a string plus 20, that will error. And if I do string 20, it'll work. That can be quite cumbersome. And also, just dealing with concatenation of strings, as we said, is expensive, but it's got other problems as well, such as it becomes really hard to read after a little while. So to save the day here, we have something called a formatter. If we just put F at the beginning of our string before the first quote and hit go, nothing really happened. However, if we now do a number and make it 20, and then just at the end of this string here, put a number in like dictionary brackets, you'll see it's put 20 on the end of the string. And also, I don't have to worry about adding a space at the beginning or anything like that because formatting strings basically just replace tokens. It's a bit like a mail merge. We can actually do this multiple times. I set stage equal to world and then do stage. You'll see that world has been plugged in where stage should be, and we can change this to universe. Now, this is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't just end there. We've got a function called random stage. And for this, we're going to have to import choice from random. And I'm just going to say return choice of words. Now, you might be wondering what the hell this is going to do, but that'll become very clear in a moment. So if we now change this with random stage, which is a function call, and actually, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted world and universe. What this is going to do is pick a word at random and just plug it in. So world there, I spelled universe wrong. And you'll see it just randomly picks them the more we run it. We can put as many words in here as we want. So basically, anywhere we want to call a function or substitute a value is where we put it in this bracket. And all we had to do for this is add the f. Now, I think this was introduced somewhere around Python 3.5. If you want to do this in an earlier version of Python, you would have to do .format. And in .format, we would then do these values. And then take these out. And what this will do is it will substitute these values based on their position. So random stage will go here and a number can go there. And you'll see it does exactly the same thing it did before. Format strings are a really powerful way to work with strings. I really can't get enough of them. There are a load more methods that you can get to a string, and the way you can just see all those is actually type in dir string, and that will print out all of the special words on string. So you can see you got center, count, and code, ends with and starts with should be there. Three other functions we want to talk about really quickly is split lines. This splits on a line feed into a list. So where that n is, it's now split into two parts. Put another n in, you'll get another part. We also have index. And if we look for the word world, it's going to tell us the position of 35. And if we change this to a string 35 to 40, we'll see we got world. So 35 was our position, and then we're just finding it there. We can also do in, so world in a string, and that should return true. Actually, but that needs to be in quotes. There you go, true. Another thing we can do is starts with. So if it starts, it should be true. And then if we do exist, it'll say false. But then we can change starts with to ends with, and we should get, we got false. Why do we get false? Oh, it's exist, not exists. True. So there are some pretty powerful ways of finding out where something is in a string. One of the really powerful things about Python is that all the collection types have very similar syntax. So if you're dealing with strings or dealing with lists, both very, very similar. So it's really quick to pick up new things in Python and then put them to work. In this one, you learn all about strings. In the next video, something even more important. Exceptions and how to deal with them so your program doesn't crash. Don't miss out on that, you'll find it top left right now. And with that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.